hmTV matters.
Welcome back to the Fog of War and Humanity here on hmTV. We're going into our third episode with Miguel to my left. We just kind of broke down a number of different things between languages, different customs, different parts of the world. Looking at Ronald Reagan, Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall, talking about Barbara Bush and her pearls, and kind of looking at the soldiers and saying, you're here to do a job that's extremely important for this nation. On Thanksgiving, right? We just had Thanksgiving here. We're talking about a lot of different reminders and experiences and history. And so now you're heading into the 1980s. You're kind of seeing the Cold War at a different end of this 45-year war, this long-standing war. And you see it at the really, probably in the first half of your military career.
Indeed.
What were your feelings when the Berlin Wall comes down? Because you're there, right? The East German side of the Berlin Wall was totally clean because nobody was allowed near it.
Right.
West German side is all graffiti and everything.
Indeed.
I think Pink Floyd was there, right?
Indeed.
Right? They had the wall come
Pink
down.
Floyd was there, yeah.
The wall comes down, right? The rock and roll group. Wall comes down. What were your first feelings?
It was a feeling of satisfaction that I have taken part of it, but then at the same time throughout my life, I try to put together, why aren't people getting along? You know, why aren't people getting along? And throughout my life in the military, because prior to that, in between missions, I had already gone to Japan, and it's just a funny thing how Germany and Japan reacted different to rebuilding their nation. Germany was more of a protective, but Japan was more like welcoming you, and they learned from their lesson. The Germans were more cold. The Japanese and the Asians and everything were more like welcome, and we realized we made a mistake. So that taught me. So being able to see Germany was.
Where were you when the wall came down?
I was in Berlin.
You were in Berlin?
Yeah.
So you were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Did you have any inside information that the stuff was coming down, or it just happened so fast?
Yeah, of course I had inside information. Secret clearance is a need-to-know basis. I perhaps didn't know exact when it was going to happen, but being able to be part of the whole process and be able to blend in, to be at certain locations in case a catastrophe was to happen and things weren't going as planned, you got to be able to relay the information to high headquarters. So that gave me the ability to be there and be aware of it.
What was your rank at this time? 1989.
I was sergeant.
You were a sergeant.
Yeah,
okay.
I was sergeant. So it was.
You got some stripes on your shoulder,
Yeah, I had some stripes on my shoulder, but keep in mind between a soldier being an infantryman and a soldier being in the military intelligence, it's more of a difficult field to get promotion. So that's why I said earlier, I don't care.
Is it because there's less of you?
No, there's less of us, and it requires more intellectual and more reading and more being aware of your surrounding. It's just less people and harder to get promoted.
Is that something that you always did? You kind of stayed on top of your game and you just kept on studying and analyzing?
Yeah. I kept, keep in mind that when I took the oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, I took it from my heart. I don't care if I was a private or colonel. I just, in the same way, I don't care whether I'm a GS1 or GS11 at the VA. Whatever I do, the minute I wake up and that I'm able to open up my eyes when I know that many situations in my life I could have died in combat, it's just like I don't need a title.
Sure.
I don't need a title.
Now let me ask you this: you spent a lot of time in Europe. You must have liked Europe, right? It must have been.
I spent 8 years in Europe, and from there going to different missions between Africa, Japan, and Finland. I did.
Did you like Finland? Did you?
Oh yes, it made me grow in so many ways. Is like an example. I'll tell you briefly. Walking down the street, and I see it's 20 degrees, and this little baby's 1 year old outside the coffee shop, and they're sleeping and outside while moms are inside just drinking coffee. But I was taught at home, oh, put your jacket on, you're gonna get cold, you're gonna get sick. But the concept in that culture was like it makes the immune system stronger. So, it allows you to grow.
The Finns are tough. They fought that border war with the Soviets
Yes,
in 1939.
indeed. Yes, they're tough.
If they had more soldiers, the Soviets probably would not have won that in any way, shape, or form. They're tough people.
Yeah, they're tough people.
And I think they still scare Putin today a little bit.
Yes, they definitely do. And
And I'm sure that weather has a lot to do with that.
the weather has a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with the way they think, the way they behave, and everything else. And I had to study wherever I go, whether in Africa, Japan, Finland, wherever I went. I had to study the culture, the history about it, and what made that country become who they are. Just like what made us become what we are. Yeah. We are a very young nation. We're so powerful.
That's an interesting thing that you picked up on the kid sitting out there, baby. Right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of say, well, this is kind of a cultural thing and a physical and health related, right? And so
there's some pros and cons everywhere you go. Where in Germans they are so overprotective. But however, in Finland, they are like, they just don't like to talk. They rather have peace. I had a girlfriend, and she said, "Let's go camping." So here I am preparing everything, hot dogs and everything, and burgers and everything.
Was she Finnish or?
Yeah. She was, and they say, "What are you doing? Why did you bring all that stuff?" The reason we can't come out here camping to enjoy nature,
to relax,
not to eat, not to barbecue.
You got beer and hot dogs. You're thinking it's at Yankee Stadium, right?
So like I was telling you before, you got to be able to keep that growth mindset. You got to be able to adapt, just like water. Yeah. If that water goes inside this coffee cup or into a glass, it forms into that glass. It forms into that cup. You got to be adaptable in life. If you're not adaptable in life, you're not going to succeed, and you're not going to be able to understand other people, whether in the battlefield or in the private sector.
Let me ask you this: did you pick up Finnish? Am I saying that correctly? Finnish?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I picked up the basic foundation of it, but it's a difficult language.
That's a difficult language.
Yeah, that's different. And I didn't spend that much time there too.
What about Russian? Did you pick up Russian at all?
I picked up a little bit of Russian, but not that much. Okay. It's just a language.
And that's a hard language as well, right?
Yeah, it's a hard language as well. I didn't pick up, it's a hard language as well. My main focus is protecting my soldiers, protecting myself in order to understand where we were, whether we were in Africa, Japan, Finland, Panama, wherever the army needed me to make this country great.
Now, you've been on 5 continents, right?
Yes, I've gone to 5 continents.
You go to Africa. Mm-hmm. Where do you go in Africa?
Mali, Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's northwestern Africa, right?
Yes, indeed. And again, that's
a huge country too.
Yes. And
that's French, Mali?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It had an influence in France, yes. And we were there on a special assignment. And between being there and being in Kuwait during Desert Storm, what a big difference it is, because we were there under hostile situations, and it's just like it's different where when we are in Desert Storm in Iraq, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, it was just like, okay, if we need help, boom, we call air support. Air support great quarters, do this, but due to the fact that
where was that coming in from the Mediterranean or out in the Atlantic, or
What are you talking about?
Let's say like air support itself there.
What we were in Kuwait and Iraq? Yeah, that was
No. In, let's say, Mali.
Oh no, that's what I'm getting to. In Mali, since no one knew that we were there and it was a mission, we couldn't call air support. We were pretty much on our own.
On your
so you really, what's the name of that?
When you think of Mali, right? What's the first things in terms of that you think of? Because you're driving somewhere, you've been to all these places.
Right.
You got to be thinking about some of your
Oh yes, I do.
previous. So when you think of Mali, what do you think of? Was it a beautiful country? Was it all desert? Was it mountainous? What was it like over there?
One of the things I learned, specifically while I was in Mali and in places in South America, when you come to a third world country, there's no acceptance of responsibility. So that destroys the country. That there's no acceptance of.
There's no strong government. There's no infrastructure.
No,
right? There's
no acceptance of you being who you are. So that destroys the whole community. So what happens during that time that I was there, I got to learn that that's the basic foundation. If we're going to be honest among each other in order to make our country great, we got to have the concept of understanding each other by being honest and using integrity. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
Did I lose you for a minute?
No, that's fine. What I'm kind of asking a little bit too was Mali a beautiful country? Was it?
It was a poor country. They were in the village I was in, because I was in village. They would open up the water every 7 days to go ahead, and without water, the rest you had to cook, eat, and everything else. There was no light at night. They would depend on candles, and we had to protect our water, bottles of water.
Unbelievable.
We had to protect
in modern times, right?
Yeah, we had to protect the water. And it's the funny thing, though. This is a contrast right here. While I was in Mali, Africa, my sister was getting married. So, my commander knew I had to go back to New York. So I took a flight from Mali to Germany, from Germany to New York. And then I found myself at my sister's wedding in the middle of Times Square. Lights, water, bottles everywhere.
Most powerful economic city in the world.
It's
right?
just like, and here I am, like you're saying, I must be thinking about the people in Mali. Here I am.
How the heck did I get here?
In the middle of Times Square. The people in Mali, Africa, do not have enough water, do not have enough light. Food. So you begin to grow as a person and appreciate the good things in life. Like today, I live with the mentality, if something goes wrong, excellent. What can I learn from that?
Sure.
What is this training that life itself is giving me? That's my attitude.
Yeah.
Because of everything I've been through. That's why I tell my son, the best lesson to learn, the best way to go about things is get yourself uncomfortable.
So now, what year was that you were in Mali?
I was there in 88.
88?
No, I was there in 89. It was, it was for a short period of time.
So you were there in 89.
I don't have recollection, but just keep in mind.
That time
because
period.
of my TBI, my traumatic brain injury, I don't have no recollection.
All right, so you're there. You see the end of the Cold War. Mm-hmm. About 2 years later, you have the Gulf War. Mm-hmm. Where were you when you started to deploy to Saudi Arabia?
I was in Fort Hood, Texas. I was in Texas.
What were you doing there?
I was with the 89th MP Brigade. So I was there doing my mission. And so I was there doing my mission in my field. And from there, while I was there, we also had pineapple phase.
And you had gone to Panama too, right?
But Panama. We went to Panama as a unit. And also, in addition to that, from there, also, I believe I have no recollection. It must have been a year later that then the Saudi Arabia and the Kuwait occur, and then I got deployed.
Yeah, well, Saddam goes into Kuwait.
Yeah, I didn't get deployed. My unit was not scheduled to go, and I worked at the stockade on Fort Hood, so I had a very good. We had prisoners, and I was there. I had a good assignment. I said, just a minute. If I'm going to be a soldier all the way, if I'm going to be whoever to come and put this training live, I want to go out there. So I went to my...
You volunteered to go?
Yeah. I went to my other commander and said, I want to go. And they shifted me, and I got deployed to Saudi. I wanted to go. I think, what's the purpose of living if you're not going to do whatever you're going to do with the purpose you have?
And you were trained to do it.
Yeah, I was trained to do it.
So now, when do you end up in the Middle East there? When you go from Texas to Saudi Arabia?
I was there in 1990.
90. What month? Do you remember?
Oh, I specifically remember. We got there. August 3rd was when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. We were there in October.
Wow. So pretty quick.
Yeah, because the forces were being deployed out there.
And it took a little while for Bush to figure out that we were sending soldiers there as well.
Yeah, right? We needed to get the manpower out there. So we needed to establish, all these places where we were going to put the units in and everything.
Did they bring you to different spots around Saudi Arabia, or were you in just one key spot?
No, we had to be... I had to be in different spots due to the fact I had to get familiar with the terrain, the culture, the people, and then the angles of different tactics that we were going to use over the possibility of how we were going to win if this conflict was going to escalate to a war.
The interesting thing is that you have Egyptians, Syrians, Saudis, Kuwaitis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And other Arabic countries as well that had boots on the ground in Saudi Arabia.
Indeed.
Especially like the Syrian counterpart, because they were on the Department of, was it the State Department's list for terrorism for a very long time. Right. So the government had the right man on the ground there in terms of Arabic. Mm-hmm. Did you have to deal with any of those countries?
I did. I had to kind of blend in. And I had to, part of the interrogation tactics and part of the behavior when I'm with them, I have to blend in and make them feel comfortable. Once I make them feel comfortable, they would be willing to reveal what it's inside their inner mechanism. And sometimes they don't. But between the pauses, the frowns, the talk, the dialect, you can able to determine, because a lot of stuff gets revealed and people don't even know about it.
Did you get Iraqi soldiers desert?
Yes, indeed. Due to the fact, because in Fort Hood, Texas, I had the experience of being in the stockade after they were placed as prisoner of war. I got to interrogate them, and I got to be able to be in the stockade, the places that we would go ahead and group them together. And
so some of the earlier Iraqis that deserted found their way over here in terms of confinement, right?
As far as confinement.
So then you got an early sense of what you were kind of going up against in terms of the soldiers and where they were coming across, that sort of thing.
How can I say this? The best way to describe it, it's a funny thing you said that, because the best way to describe it, let's say you come to this room and the room is dark. You turn on the lights when you come in, but I was already in the room when it was dark. Does that make sense? I was there. The first boots in the ground from the Western culture, where we didn't have an understanding of the ground. We didn't have understanding how the people would react. We didn't have an understanding how our tanks would react to the sand in that region. So as we were there, we started investigating the culture, the equipment, the environment, and everything, and the impact of the...
How it would be tied to the war.
Yeah. And and that gave me the opportunity to be sort of like the first explorer. That's the best way I can put it.
Did you like Saudi Arabia? Did you find it interesting?
Wherever I'm at in this planet, I'll find anything interesting.
You'll get something out of it, right?
Why? You got to go with an attitude. I woke up today, wherever I'm at,
That you're going to learn something.
you're going to learn something. And, you know, I knew when I went to Saudi Arabia, their mentality's way of thinking is different. So I knew at that moment that they didn't think like I did. But there was something much more that I needed to learn because I do not know everything. It's even today, I do not know everything. Every single human being that I encounter, I'm open-minded to learn. So, yes.
From a language point of view, did you have any Saudi counterparts or Egyptian counterparts, and you sat down with them and you kind of reshuffled the languages again and you picked up on it? And
Yeah, I reshuffled the language on it, and we basically did it through food, believe it or not, knowing what kind of food they eat and what magnificent ingredients they put in it and aspects of their religion and everything else, even though I had...
So it loosens them up.
It loosens them up. And you want to put them in a comfortable mode. Once you put them in a comfortable mode, people are willing to reveal everything much more than they anticipate.
So food, culture,
Yeah.
the big,
and
that's a big icebreaker, right?
It is. And the matter of fact that, you know, even though you can learn all the slang you want to in books, it is boots on the ground that's going to teach you everything. It is being in front of the individual.
And I'm sure your senior officers were probably pretty interested because they have to deal with these different groups of people that are foreign to them, right? Because how many Americans were over there? Was it 300,000 Americans?
It was 300,000
right?
anyway.
The rules of conduct, not everybody has your background and knowledge, and you were a very, very important tool for them.
Yeah, I would say so. A very important tool because I was not afraid that they were gonna reject me, because I already had a foundation as to who they are, where they came from, because I got taught that at a very young age.
Now, you speak Arabic, you have different dialects. You have guys from Saudi Arabia, which is a huge country, so there's different dialects within that country and how they handle things, right? Were they pleased to see you when you started speaking Arabic? They hear you have this American uniform on and you got your sergeant stripes on and your cookie cutter uniform. Were they pleased to see that you were making an effort speaking Arabic to them?
Yes, but some didn't like that I betrayed them. But my faith...
betrayed them as
betrayed
living
them
in the United States? And
betrayed them because I'm a first generation American. Betrayed them in the sense of they...
But you're also Portuguese too.
Yeah, but
they have a hard time understanding that, right?
They have no understanding because they have no understanding because you know, Arabic marry an Arabic and Arabic marry a Muslim and so on and so on. So even with my own family, they felt I betrayed them by joining the military, but I didn't care. I'm going to live my life the way I want to live. So going back to this individuals in Saudi Arabia, of course, you know, they felt I betrayed. Why am I revealing all about their culture, about their way of life to my people? You should be with us rather with them. I say, you got the wrong boy. You got the wrong boy.
You learn about the United States.
It's about great USA. No, you got the wrong boy.
I'm a Yankee fan too.
You can. There's a lot of.
Well, I know that from my mother's Irish side.
Yeah.
Right. My grandmother came here, and my Italian family was so happy to see her. But when she realized that they didn't have any Irish blood in them, then there was like no connection. It was like it was like old world stuff.
Yeah,
and you know that's the American. You know, you could be 10 different languages and customs, but you live in this country. you're American.
You're American, and just I have always believed this, and now it's coming about a little bit more about this concept of having dual citizenship. You can't be in two places at one time.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't make no sense. You're either American or you African or you Finland or whatever. I mean, I don't do that, and that's one of the things that I believe that made my Saudi counterparts feel like I betrayed them because I'm supposed to be on their side.
Let me ask you this. This is I can ask you this question
Go
because
ahead, shoot anything.
you were close to Reagan at one point. You meet Barbara Bush, which means her husband isn't too far away.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across Schwarzkopf?
Yes, I did.
Big guy, right?
Yeah, I was there whenever he was in Riyadh, and he spoke to us. Yes, I did.
What kind of presentation did he give?
I would say, I have to say this about conflicts, about war. The Vietnam veterans were so successful in leading Panama, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq during the 1991 conflict. I'm so appreciative of their leadership, and I want to welcome them home again because they were treated horrible. And they actually,
and their experience could have kept you alive.
That's what I'm about to say.
In terms of leadership.
That's what I was saying. Actually, they saved my life, and I thank them every single day of my life because I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional.
That's fine.
Yeah. I thank because they really saved my life because when they went to the battlefield, they were sent out there with one hand behind their back. And when I was sent to the battlefield, I had both hands in front of me. I was able to make a fist, but they weren't. And I would say if it's not because of the Vietnam leadership during Panama, Saudi Arabia, during the night, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Kuwait, the conflict would have lasted longer.
You know what they say about Schwarzkopf and those older senior officers?
He made the left hook.
Yeah,
I just want to say that.
Yeah, that they had these Coke bottle glasses, and those guys got in at the end of World War II, Korea, and then Vietnam. They were like in that time period over a 30-year period, 35-year period. And they wanted to right a lot of wrongs from Vietnam to the Gulf War. And that was their last chance to do it on a very, very significant level.
Yes, it was.
And then you see the way they fight the war, like you just said, left turn, they go into Iran, shut the Iraqis from leaving Kuwait, get that highway of death. I mean,
the highway. I'm sorry to interrupt. The highway that was devastating. Being there in the midst of it and seeing the catastrophe that occurred, where bodies were charcoal and bodies and equipment destroyed and everything. During that time, it was just like. During that time, it's like you compose everything in life and you see the good, the bad, and the ugly about humanity.
All at once.
All at once.
Yeah. And you looked at those leaders, they had glasses that were, not in style, the big thick arm glasses and this and that. And they stood upright in those conferences. And they knew that was their last hurrah.
That's true.
And Vietnam had played such a heavy role, like a stigma in the United States from when we leave there, 73, and then falls in 75. It was almost like Afghanistan with Kabul, right? It weighed heavily on us. And you could see those senior figures. They wanted, like you said, they had one hand behind their back.
Yeah.
Okay, against Iraqis. the former Soviet military must have been like, we're going up against these guys, you know, in that 100-hour war. And it showed how strong this country was. I mean, just look at the training that you had. You're one person.
Yeah.
One figure. It's like unbelievable, you know? And it's a pretty amazing thing. But Miguel, listen, thank you for coming down. Appreciate it. We're going to definitely have you go down again. We'll talk about your last days in the military. The next time you come down, we'll talk about the things that you're doing today. Maybe some of your thoughts on languages. Maybe we could break that down. Maybe we could do like an exercise for the viewers, you know? And just outstanding. I had your buddy Angel the last time around, about 2 weeks ago. And it's just amazing the amount of sources of military experience, comradeship, you know, service, honor, and then stories afterwards where it's just extremely important for us to keep. It never gets old. We got to keep talking about it, and it's definitely a good thing. So, thank you for coming down here to hmTV. This is Richard Acritelli in the Fog of War and Humanity.